Um, and then maybe if we have time, just a quick look into what's happening with the crypto funding round push thing. Do you have anything you need to talk about though, Julian?
Not really. I'm here more to get up to date than anything else. So it's all good.
Okay, cool. So the main the co-budget round is scheduled to start on the 12th of June. There's just a slight tension in me that there's this balancing act that we're going to have to ask everyone to do, where there's only like $1,000 in co-budget, and do we want people to scope their buckets and put them in and then go in the next few days, for instance, and then go out and really push to get people to put money in via the button, which I'm slightly unhopeful that much will come in, because it's just not a very good process. People are like very, once the money is in their account and they need to go and put their credit card details in, it's just a psychological barrier that's there that is so strong. People find any excuse not to do it. I'm the same. So I'm doubtful that we're going to get a huge amount of money in there. Therefore, how do we actually decide? Do we just go gung-ho, get the people who have already said, yeah, I've got something, to scope it, put it in there and use that to inspire people? Or do we start pushing put your money in now? Which we probably need the time anyway. So
do you have a sense of how many people do have buckets ready to go and are interested? Or I guess what do you think is going to be the biggest tension, getting people to put money in or getting people to actually propose interesting buckets?
No, definitely money.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably 3 that I've seen that could be, people have said this is a thing and they just need to scope it. So, I mean, it's not a huge amount of work. So I think if I just go back and say, do it, and then they're there, then we've got, I mean, it's just not reasonable to be going out far and wide and asking people to scope, a new thing. Well, experimental budget setting is that we ran a process where the majority said they wanted to do more core things. I think we can expand what that means slightly, but there's no point doing a lot of experimental stuff because there's just not the money in there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, open to thinking on how to enliven this process for people somehow.
I'm thinking, like, since you have a really good picture of the problem, maybe we could create a meta situation in which we create a budget to deal with this problem. So maybe the obvious bucket to open is like a bucket about co-budget, some sort of a piece of communication or a dinner, or I'm not sure what, but we have a clear problem and we have the proposition of a solution. So why not mismatch those? Maybe people need to be more aware of how important co-budget is in this whole process. I'm sure co-budget changed a little bit now, because now everybody's giving Inspiro money every month and it's showing up. At least it shows up for me in my credit like monthly when I pay for it, and it feels different. But I'm not sure how psychologically that would impact co-budget.
Can you comment on that, Susan? How you mentioned that the books are balanced, and how that impacts this in your mind?
Well, I mean, I just think from a timing perspective, I think that Ants is getting ready. The last review he put up was that, the kind of D-Day book balancing time is 15th of June. So on the 15th of June, expect, a bit of celebration in the network that books are balanced. I do hold, not an insignificant amount of tension about going back out to the so far. I think we've got 75 people signed up to subscriptions to ask for more money. So more money to put into co-budget. But one thing that's not accounted for, so the books are balanced more or less just on the basis of individual contributor funds. But there is a increasing level of, or a reinvigorated level of venture contributions coming back in. But the problem with that, like let's say Blackwood Systems is putting in 1,000 a month, Pandas is putting in 500 a month. If, for example, we said that all of that was for co-budget, it would still just be Damien, Joshua, and I deciding on how to allocate that money. So I don't think that the venture money in, as it is now, is a solution, unless we made a pitch to say that if you're a contributor stroke member and you're very keen to participate in the co-budget process, the ventures have agreed that their collectivized 50% of the collectivized money that they put in, they're willing to distribute amongst the
opt-in
co-budget participants. That could be an interesting experiment.
So yeah, I think that is good. I mean, I need to go in somehow and get all the details of venture contributions, because they haven't come into the co-budget as such. Are they going into the balancing the books process still?
So I'm not sure. Have to talk to Charlie about that.
Okay, so I need to go and just get some work, do some work in that, because if there is more venture contributions coming in from EXP, I'm assuming Root Systems hopefully will be putting something in, greater than when we become a venture will. Like, I don't know, that could be interesting. And then we also need to do another almost clear out of co-budget, because there's a lot of people in there with no money and who are not very active. But I do think that...
Sorry.
Do you want to go ahead?
Just a tiny detail on top of that. I had just the list open here. Actually, there's only EXP in the Dev Academy, and 3 people with $20.
Yeah, I can see. Because the point is that we cleared out all the money during for the last round.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But it's interesting that EXP and Dev Academy still just have company accounts. They don't actually distribute it to the members of them. So I think this is pointing to, and I agree that there's a tension that this process, the system of people paying their subs and then we ask for money on top for co-budget is flawed. That was a design, something that was not designed well at all, and I take some responsibility for that. It needs to be integrated. And I think that you're right, Jordan, that there's an obvious problem here. I don't know if the solution is just communication. I think it's kind of like a design. We have to do some analysis and then like a redesign of how these things are operating, which is complicated because I know that this whole balancing the books things has taken a long time, but this process is not really serving us.
I mean, one thing that we could think about doing is, I don't know, once we get to a quantum of 120% of OPEX by subscriptions, anything over and above that goes into co-budget.
Yeah.
Something like that, I think, could be interesting to play with. So if we've balanced the budget, but we've balanced the books at 79 contributors, if we get to 100, does that take us over the 120? And then is that more of an incentive to help people that are still in the system who haven't chosen to opt in, or the contributors that get added to feed that? I mean, that could be another thing to play with. But I really do like the idea of like this active invitation and active opt-in to co-budget participation, because just like anything, actively saying, yes, I want to be part of this is far more likely that you'll participate, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And we also have that conversation happening on Lumio about, spending 5K of reserves on funding a catalyst. And then that's pointing to why do we have, is the amount of money in reserves the right buffer? or should it be actually coming into co-budget?
Exactly.
So I think it's really speaking to me about doing maybe Fran and I and a couple of people just really going deep into this and maybe doing a design.
I mean, I think that we're at the MVB yesterday. I think we actually do really well at keeping our like compliance hats on in those sessions. But I mean, I still would love for some kind of a finance working group to spring up to start making recommendations about what we should do with the money or how we should design the money flows. Because I don't think that's the job. I know it's not the job of the board to do that.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's the board's job, and it's not like. I mean, I'm holding this because obviously I work for Greater Than, and I've been doing it as part of our contribution to Inspiral. Yeah, I think.
But I mean, I would love to be part of like a strategic thinking group, even to say, okay, these are 3 different models that we could look at in terms of how Inspiral Foundation manages finances moving forward. I think that would be a really worthy piece of work.
See, that could be a good bucket. But I mean, I raised a whole bunch of money last time, so I'm kind of feeling like, I don't know. It could be just volunteering. Okay, well, that's all quite helpful. I think I need to go and like really look at the numbers and understand the balancing the books process and like the numbers that of the reserve system. And then do something.
I remember during this balancing the books process that there was sort of 2 small surprises, not really shocking surprises, but 2 small surprises, is that in the first round, far less people than we expected opted in immediately. But also between the 3 tiers that were created, far more people chose the higher tiers than previously anticipated. Our first round had like 30% of the network instead of 60%, but we had already surpassed the number of top tier contributions. So maybe this is all we need to start flowing some of this money to co-budget. If we actually get the books balance and 100 people, not only it's going to be a little more than what we need to sustain the core, but also with the higher tier contributions, maybe even more surplus than we're expecting. And if we gave it a couple of months, if we, I don't know, maybe do 4 or 3 co-budget rounds every year, those months of wait will be enough to accumulate some extra money as well.
I think, Joriam, the unanticipated high number of highest level contribution happened early. I don't think we've had, I think that probably 80% of the people that have opted in within the last month have been at coffee
tier
level.
1.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, this is not an ideal co-budget situation, right? But it's almost like, do we do it anyway with like limited funds just because we want this rhythm and we want, some of the upside, which is, people participating in something that's not just discussions and Lumios and calls, something that's more tangible. Is that like benefit enough? Because then the one after that is they're going to try to push out this crypto funding campaign, and we just don't know what's going to happen at all.
Great.
It could yield some money, and then the process there will be that it all basically comes into co-budget, and that becomes an opt-in round.
Cool.
And we could talk about that for 5 minutes, and then we can end this if you want.
I mean, I think I could also go to. I would feel good about going to Pandas and going to Joshua and say that, okay, that our June venture contributions, so 500 in Pandas and 1,000 in Blackwood Systems. How do we feel about saying that just for this month, all of that's going to go into co-budget, and anybody who opts into participating in co-budget will get an equal share of whatever that $1,500 is. So there's 20 or 30 of us will get, I don't know, 40 or 50 bucks each.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And we can just change this current process to say it's opt-in only. Yeah. Who wants to be part of this? Who's got energy? We can still ask people to top up. Like I'm planning on topping up to by 200 or something. So I think I'm definitely going to integrate that, Susan. And if you can, if they do want to support that, that would be great. Okay. We could even ask Dev Academy if they're up for that.
Just as an experiment for a month, I think it would be good.
Okay. Cool. So then if we can bump over to the external funding thing. I've just the attention right now is I've got a newsletter that's been designed by Simon that encapsulates the copy, or that has designed the copy. Now the ask is that members send it out, but I am really feeling like the campaign stuff for the book, there is this attention economy thing, so maybe I would think we should just wait for a month. Otherwise it's kind of like, wow, we're really putting a lot of stuff into the ether right now. What do you guys think?
I think yes, and it's coming, I guess, just from a slightly selfish position that on Tuesday we're launching the book campaign, and we're going to be not pummeling, but it's going to be the main message out there, and I don't want to confuse the two.
I agree too. I think there's not that much energy going on right now. I've seen moments with more energy, and if we put like 2-3 big projects at the same time, let's not forget the website, which also is flashy and almost ready. So I think it's a little bit too much. The network doesn't have enough energy slots to accommodate all of that.
Okay. Can I send you guys what Simon's done on the newsletter so that you can just tell me your thoughts, maybe after this or in Slack or something?
Sure, of course.
Great. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. Let's wait a month, which is annoying, but whatever. I love you.
So the only other thing worth mentioning that I think we need to get some attention around is the Gatherings Working Group. I think that I'm worried, and I know Ants is also worried about Summerfest next year. Who's going to do it? Yeah. So just putting out there that it's not going to be the same as it was. But if we want it to be something, but if we want it to be something, we need to get a team on it because it's already May.
Okay. So maybe, I haven't really participated in that working group much, but they're organizing the winter retreat now, right?
Yeah, so we've got Damien and Sandra leading that up. I think
and they're not interested in carrying on and organizing Summerfest.
I know that's not been. I have no idea. That's not been discussed at all. I think they're just now trying to sense into. If people are keen to go and hang out at Riversley for a weekend.
Fair enough.
And so, is there anyone? Because obviously Sylvia and Billy are not going to do it.
Correct.
Damien and Sandra sound perfect to me.
Sorry?
Damien and Sandra sound perfect to me.
Yeah, but we better. I might have a chat to Damien and see what his energy is. But what I would love to see is that we just establish the core constraints now. Not now, but over the next month, which is what kind of retreats what kind of Summerfest do we want? Is it different? Is it smaller? Is it less open to anyone? which is always my preference, which is selfish. And therefore, can we do it at Riversley? Or I know there was the idea of using the Monaghan's Ute Village.
The other thing that we could do is try to get Riversley and Wyawanga at the same time and just go in between those, because if we did that, we could, I think, in between those two, we'd get about 80 beds, which would be enough, I think.
Mm-hmm. So the basic constraints would be dates, a cap on numbers. And then where I'm going with this is that if we get some crypto money in, like the biggest bucket would be paying for people to organize the summer fest with the risk not being on them.
Yeah.
And hopefully you could put, 5K in that type thing.
Sounds good.
And also remember this, this is another bit that hasn't gone into the reserves question. The reason that we've got healthy reserves is because of the refund from last year.
Yeah. All right. So I just feel like how can this coalesce into the current co-budget round and that actually become a main bucket again? Because we've already had many discussions that is considered by everyone as crucial core work. That, the feedback is that this is the lifeblood and that there is already that money sitting in there. What is the seed fund for 2 people to get going on this? And can that money come back into co-budget and be distributed to the people that opt in?
Yeah.
Okay. Food for thought, hey? Oh, okay. So I might go try to get this happening.
Cool.
Who are the right people to talk to push this ahead with around getting that money out of reserves into co-budget to people that opt in? So the members might need to sign it off, right? So we need to put a Lumio up.
I think put a Lumio up in the members.
Okay. That's pretty easy.
Because I think that this has completely fallen off the radar with the other discussions about what to use the reserves for.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, I'm just going to come out with some recommendations.
Yeah, and to have a chat with Damien as well and see where his energy is, because if we can encourage him.
That would be great, yeah.
Yeah, and is there anyone else that could be like a good eventy producery contributor or someone that has energy?
Lucia?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps John?
John seems to be across everything, and he's also not in New Zealand, so it might be a little bit tricky.
But he's in the movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movement, yeah, I suppose so.
So I imagine, I don't know, but I know that he's a little all over the place because he kind of needs to, because he's kind of doing this big move. But in a couple of months, he'll be in New Zealand and eager to please. So maybe looking at pretty spaces sounds like a good job.
Yeah. I think we're limited on spaces, Jeremy. I think we've got a pretty good idea of what's the thing.
The only reason I say that is because he seems like he's got his kete full up, and that this could be a very good opportunity for someone with nothing in their kete to get involved.
Fair enough. You're right. You're right.
But we'll see. We'll see who's got energy. Okay, so wow, we're doing some strategic work here, team.
Get the shit done.
I'm curious to see how this crypto chaos is going to unfold. I'm very curious.
Me too. It could be whatever, Inspire. We've got nothing. We're not funding you. But it could, you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Okay.
See ya.
Well, we didn't write any notes, but whatever. We can just put this recording, this brilliance into the into the Inspireverse. Okay, but nice to see both of your faces. This seemed like the right people.
Nice to see you too. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.